I'll talk muna to people who want to be investors, not traders, because it becomes more complicated. The rules for buying and selling will be different if you are a trader versus you are an investor. If you are an investor, you can explain it in one sentence or two sentences, the very reason why you want to buy the company in a full conviction. That's one. So for example, Altina, why do you want me to invest in Balthazar Shoes, or why are you investing in Balthazar Shoes? You use the same logic sa Jollibee, sa Globe, sa PLDT, sa Ayala Corporation, Ayala Land. Why are you buying it? If you can't answer that question, then it might be better off that you might not be positioned in that as well. Kasi that means di mo alam yung paglalagyan mo ng pera. I'm an Excel sheet type of guy, but I mentioned also that kahit anong Excel mo pag nakikita mo pera mo bumabagsak, or nakikita mo yung pera mo umaakyat, there will come a point in time where you will become either super greedy, super excited, or super fearful also And if you don't know how to taper that, those emotions will cause you to make wrong decisions. Hi everyone, we are back once again for another Ask Marvin session. But for today, we are in for a very special treat. We have the co-founders of Balthazar Shoes, and one of the amazing local shoes that we have here, Altina Balthazar back in the podcast. So Altina, thanks for coming, and thank you for preparing questions, which I think will be very, very hard because you're super smart, super MBA, top-notcher entrepreneur person.
Hi Marvin, it's nice to be back with in your channel, and thanks for having me.
When we did the last video, she was one of the last video recordings that I did before everything locked down. So at that time, blog type pa yung content, but because of the lockdown, wala na, podcast na tayo, ganito na Zoom type. So before I answer the questions that you have sent out, how has your company been? How have you pivoted also in all of this?
Okay, thanks for asking. So Balthazar is an online business, and it has its pros and cons being an online business. So we don't really have a lot of those expenses that's typical of brick and mortar. So that's pretty good for us. But like any other business during this pandemic, we've been, of course, greatly affected. Demand has slowed down, but that just sort of like made us reflect on what type of products would be more relevant to our customers now. It just really pushed us to try something else new, not exactly what we planned like 2 years ago, in the business plan. Things do change, so we just really needed to be strong and open-minded about what the next stage is going to be like.
And that's what makes great entrepreneurs, the ones that know how to pivot when times are hard. And that's what I like about this. In bad times, the really good businesses are the ones that thrive. And then when things get better, they come out of the gates running. But guys, super amazing yung shoes nila. I'll put a picture here. Nagmukha akong gwapo. Minsan lang ako nagiging gwapo pero dahil sa yung sapatos nila. Anyways, let's do this, Altina. What's your question?
Okay, so my first question is, I'm a believer in planning, right? But I also think we can only plan so much. What can you tell us for those like me who don't really know much about investing, and I've not ventured into investing in the stock market? What would you tell people like myself?
Okay, investing is all about kasi going with what your strengths are. People always say kasi that invest mo lang dyan, iiwan mo ng pera mo, and let money work hard for you. But it doesn't work that way. If it was that easy, then everyone would be a billionaire. I really believe that couple of rules for investing is it has to be something aligned with what you know. No matter how lucrative it is or no matter how conservative it is, if you don't know what it is, it's either you will miss out on opportunities, or you will lose money, or you won't be able to deploy your capital very, very well. So if you think the stock market, as much as I like everyone to invest, go into the stock market, be positioned there, if you think after the time that it took for you to study, tapos dumudugo pa rin yung ilong mo, and you think it's so hard to understand, no matter how lucrative it is, it's not worth getting into. And a lot of people kasi fall into the trap that, teka, I have a chance to earn 30% there, 20% there. Pag nasa bank yan, 1% lang. So people always look at what the upside is. People always look at what they could earn, but they don't look at what if it goes the other direction? What if it doesn't do so well? What if, similar to what happened in March 2020, we saw the markets decline massively. For those who are watching this and did not watch the videos that I made at that time, the market drop in March 2020 was faster and steeper than the drop that happened in 2008. Because the drop in 2008, we saw the markets drop 50%, pero it was gradual, spread across weeks and months. Yung ngayon, ang bilis eh. And because it was something that was not understandable to a lot of people, even kahit ako rin, I never knew that the Philippine Stock Exchange was shut down for 2 days. It was shut down for 2 days. So I was thinking, paano to? May direct stocks ako, may mutual funds ako, and I was thinking, okay lang yan as long as the market is open, if the company is okay, I still get my dividends and I still get cash eh. Pero the market was closed for 2 days. So when that was happening, when all of that uncertainty was there, I also had the notion that one of my styles is I only put money that's sobra. Money that, it's not just sobra, but money that if it goes to zero, I'm okay with it. I wouldn't be scared. I wouldn't be at a point where I would lose sleep eh. So if there are certain rules that people need to get into, it has to be, number one, they have at least, it doesn't have to be skill or expertise na super expert sila doon, but at least they know what it is. Number two, it has to be money that if everything else goes bad and then they lose everything, they can sleep well, hindi sila mag-aaway mag-asawa. They have other investments that can sort of balance things out, or at least may cash sila na pambalanse doon. I've seen a lot of people na naging problem nila na excite sa stocks, yung pang bilhin ng bahay dapat nila or pang amortization na nila 8 months into the future, thinking nakikita sila within that time frame, nilagay nila doon. And now we are fast forward into that 8-month horizon na kailangan nila yung pera, hindi nila magamit or it's lower already. So at least those two things. And then siguro just to add, para it's 3 points na lang. Para for people in MBA, alam ko gusto niya mga 3-point programs eh. So it's you have to do your research still. You have to do your due diligence. Very, very important that as you start looking into it, checking and differentiating out different investments, what are the pros and cons to it, because it's not a 1 and 0 eh. If it's not the stock market, there are other opportunities available, or there are derivatives that are similar to stocks but not as volatile. So that you will only find that out once you start studying it also. And then as you start studying and then you be more comfortable, pwede sige, I'll put a small amount first. Then you start to scale it up as you gain more skill and competence and confidence in it.
You're saying kasi that finance is not just about, numbers, something a little bit more personal. No? And you mentioned a lot of the external environment, like the kind of stocks, derivatives, the market, the economy. But before that, we need to check. For example, for myself, I need to have a check on my own life, on my situation. What are some things that I need to check about myself? What do I need to check? What are maybe 5 things I need to check, reflect on, do a look at before I actually say, hey, you know what, I'm ready to invest.
The same thought process as what you put in when you go into a business is the same thought process that you put in also when you go into the stock market. The main difference lang, and I got invited to an interview yesterday about this. I think the main difference between a business and investing in the stock market is primarily this. Number one, yung business control mo eh. Yung stock market, hindi mo control yung galaw ng merkado. You don't know what could possibly happen. No one can predict the amount that if the market will be up tomorrow, the market will be up 8 months from now eh. Pero, as an entrepreneur, control mo eh. Control mo ilan empleyado mo, control mo kung saan ka magre-rent ng lugar, control mo. O sige, mataas yung electricity natin, sige yung aircon, instead of being in full power and then putting up 4 air conditions, let's just try at lunch break, sige naka-on 4, pero sa gabi 2 na lang siguro. There are certain things that you can't control eh. Or you're looking at, teka, we need to save more money. Let's transfer kaya. Instead of this place where we pay 180,000 rent, this one is just 140. So I save 40,000. Also in the same way, you control that I think I need more sales. So what do I need to do? Do I just increase do I increase my margins, or I find ways to reduce my cost, or really it's about volume, getting more ways on how I can sell my products that I market it well. What I like about business is you can control it. It's more manageable, and then your ability to be able to earn from it is also proportional to how good you are, and how much you work, or yung diskarte mo, or being at the right place at the right time. Sa stock market, wala lahat yun eh. The market will not reward you kung sobrang sipag ka eh. Although hard work also pays off because it allows you to have your own due diligence. Pero in the same way, I've seen a lot of people also who have worked hard, pero they come to the conclusion that it's all about risk management, that you need to know how to protect your risk. You need to know that you're not just looking at the upside, you're also looking at the downside. So, siguro as a first-timer, what I always will tell people is this. I'll talk muna to people who want to be investors, not traders, because it becomes more complicated. The rules for buying and selling will be different if you are a trader versus you are an investor. If you are an investor, you can explain it in one sentence or two sentences, the very reason why you want to buy the company in a full conviction. That's one. So for example, Altina, why do you want me to invest in Balthazar Shoes, or why are you investing in Balthazar Shoes? You use the same logic sa Jollibee, sa Globe, sa PLDT, sa Ayala Corporation, Ayala Land. Why are you buying it? If you can't answer that question, then it might be better off that you might not be positioned in that as well. Kasi that means di mo alam yung paglalagyan mo ng pera. So there has to be something that you know and you know and you know, and you can explain it very well with full conviction why you're putting your money there. I think that's the first easy way to look at it. So for example, you ask me, oh bakit Globe, bakit PLDT? I like the dividends. The dividends are amazing. I like Globe PLDT because everyone's using technology right now, and all of that runs through their data backbone. So things like that. There has to be something. And then second is you need to have a set of rules also. Yeah. Rules for buying, rules for selling. So a lot of people kasi just buy at the hope that binili ko to ng 10, magiging 100 to someday. It doesn't work like that eh. What if magiging 8? Kasi never na siya naging 100. What are your conditions that you will keep on buying it? Number one. What are your conditions that kung di mo siya nabili, that you will spot it that it's worth buying? And at the time na you bought it already, what are your rules also that you will still hold on to it no matter what happens? If it's so scary or it's so good, you're gonna hold on to it also. Or in the same way, you're holding on to it, may fresh cash ka, what will cause you also in the same way to add more to that current position versus putting it into another stock. Kasi pwede naman yun eh. For example, you have, syempre kailangan taasan ko example, si Altina yung kausap natin, 10 million pesos. You have 10 million pesos that you want to, kaya kasi feeling ko pag mababa, sabihin ng tinang baba naman yan. Ganun ako nung fresh grad pa ako. Anyways, if you put in an amount of money, regardless of what amount it is, 500,000, 1 million pesos, 10 million pesos, you put it there, time moves eh. As time moves, kumikita ka pa eh. So meron ka na naman. What should you do? Do you buy the same stock? Or do you put it in something else? Or just keep it in cash? You need those rules. Then later on, what are your rules also to sell? That no matter how good the situation is, if your rules are telling you to sell, you sell already. I think those are the things that people don't look at when they start to invest. Those are the things that parang hindi na factor in when it comes to entering the market. So that's number 2. You need to set your rules. You need to set your conditions. Then you need to know why are you investing for, or what are you investing for. Meaning, are you investing for retirement? Are you investing for plan to withdraw the money kasi pagka-college ng anak mo at some point in time? What's the reason for it? Kasi when I was starting out, my goal was to take it out ng 60. So my mentality at that time was, kung magkaroon man ng recession, in the middle of it, I shouldn't be startled kasi kailangan ko pa 60 eh. So whatever recessions that would happen in my 30s or 40s, it should not be something that should bother me because my end goal at that time was to take it out at 60. So people need to define that also. Kasi pag natamaan na nila yun, why do they need to invest pa? And earning more is not a reason for you to invest eh. That's a wrong mindset. You invest because you have a goal that you want to hit.
Okay.
Everyone wants to earn more, but you need to quantify it. What year they want to hit it, what amount is it, and in what place would it be for?
That's a really good point that you raised. No, it's about knowing like how your attitude is going to be while you're investing. It's
Mhm.
not just good enough to know na, oh, I'm in it. Pero you need to know nga yung conditions mo, yung rules mo, yung attitude mo when you're already in it.
Number 4 is you need to manage your emotions. A few days before this video, there's an interview. I'm an Excel sheet type of guy, but I mentioned also that kahit anong Excel mo pag nakikita mo pera mo bumabagsak or nakikita mo yung pera mo umaakyat, there will come a point in time where you will become either super greedy, super excited, or super fearful also And if you don't know how to taper that, those emotions will cause you to make wrong decisions. And you have to create mechanisms around that whenever your emotions are tugging you, whenever your emotions are telling you to do this, to sell prematurely, you need to have something to pull you, which probably could be the rules that I said in point number 2, to not follow your emotions. Kasi nakakaba naman talaga siya You see good, and people need to know this, you buy a really, really good company, may chance yan bumagsak 20%, may chance yan bumagsak 30%. What do you do? Do you sell immediately at the first sign that it's going down, or do you slug it out and hold? But all of that requires not following your emotions. All of that requires you to stick to something definite as well.
You were saying a lot of stuff also, and I like the fact that when you said na parang you should know why you're investing. You should have a purpose. You don't invest in order to earn more, but you have to invest because you have to have a purpose for it, whether it's for retirement, for your school, and that gives us a long-term view. That gives us a longer, kumbaga, long-term plan of why we do stocks.
Since we talked about goals, long-term, short-term, it after defining that, because it becomes easier for you to be able to know how to allocate. So what they can normally do is, yung stock investing ko 20 years pa yan. So it's volatile, it's riskier, pero since 20 years pa, there's no compelling reason to put a larger amount of money yet today. Kasi hindi ko pa kailangan Pero for your short-term goals, which cannot take a lot of volatility, that should be the one that you should deploy more capital into. So I guess it's connected to the third point, that knowing your timeline, it will allow you also to allocate the amount of money that's connected to it. So it will also help you to become less emotional, kasi kung alam mo, if that's an amount of money that you can tolerate, that's an amount of money that, this is my plan and not everything is there naman. I have other goals na meron cash ako doon. So kahit mag-zero to, I don't think I'll be scared because I have other amounts of money that are hitting other goals that are also working hard for me. Investments should add to you. It should not take from you. If it takes away your productivity on whatever your primary source of income is, then it's not probably worth it. You must find something that will either another investment or another strategy that should work for you. That's the most important thing there, because this is the misconception to investing. People think that there's a set number of time that you need to allocate for you to get better at it. When the reality is, baliktarin mo. What amount of time that you have that you can use to invest?